Today we're judging a book by its cover. This is the best album artwork tier list of 2023. The concept is simple. I'm looking at album artwork, I'm judging it on whether I like it or I don't like it. I'm putting it in a nice, neat tier list. The best, the worst, everything in between. You get the drill here. It is all just my opinion, of course. I can't include every single album, so if you do think there's some missing in the comments, please let me know your thoughts on those, but do just recognize that this video would have gone on forever if I'd included every single artwork out there, or as many as I possibly could, because it just would have been long. I've got about 46 album covers in the list. I think that's more than enough. I could have rounded it to 50, but I didn't, so hey ho. This is going to be my tier list. The tier list will be linked in the comments, so you can click the tier list, make your own, and then send it to me over on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, wherever you with me, anywhere. Please let me know. Please share it around. And of course, tell me your thoughts in the comments about mine if you think I got anything wrong, because you'll be eager to tell me I got it wrong. And check out my Patreon as well if you'd like to support me over on there, as you can request videos like this in the future. You can be part of the Discord server where we're doing lots of bracket tournaments, 2023 themed bracket tournaments for the next month or so in there. So get your say in those. Join me in there. That would be fantastic. And yeah, supporting me is wonderful. Thank you. So a few things to clarify how we're doing this. It is basically just what I think of the art, the quality of the music, the quality of the album. How much I like the artist or don't like the artist is irrelevant. None of those things are going to be taken into account here. It is just about the artwork itself. So if you look at this tier list and think it's crazy, well, you didn't listen to what I said, because it's about the artwork, okay? Nothing to do with the quality of the album. But I will say, if there's anything about the album's theme or anything about the album's concept or anything like that, and if the album artwork ties into anything like that, I'll bring that up, of course, because I think that's important. But otherwise, it's just going to be looking at the images themselves. You got it? You got it? You got it? Well, let's not waste any more time and get on with it. Okay, let's get into it then, starting with Amaray, who is one of many R&B soul artists this year that I've seemed to have followed the aquatic water theme on album covers. Very odd trend this year that I don't think many people have really talked about or particularly really picked up on, but Amaray, Victoria Monet, even Janelle Monáe could be included on that too. You've got Cleo Sol as well. Loads of R&B albums have just followed this water theme, and this is one of those as well. I actually think it's a pretty good image too. I think it's pretty simple, of course. She's kind of just being like splashed with water, but I think the stance, I think the angle is all really cool. It's not like an amazing album cover or anything like that. Anything that I think is that good will go in S, of course, but I think this is still very good. It's not quite A for me, but I would say this Barry Can't Swim album is A. I find this one to be really fun. He's kind of just surrounded by bits and pieces of Lego. I'm a big fan of Lego. I don't really know why this is the image for the album, to be honest, but I just think it kind of makes a nice, fun image that you can't really understand why he's done it or get the concept of where he's coming from with it, but I just like that he did it. You know, it just feels very like big kid energy, and I think it just looks great. I think all the colours kind of splashing together, making this really cool, like rainbow colourful cover, just makes for a really nice image. Yeah, I ain't got a lot to say about it, but I think it's a fun one. Now let's go for the first F of the year though. Bombay Bicycle Club. What the hell is going on here? My guy's got egg on his face and it just looks goofy as hell. The text going around his head. The text going around his head. Friggin' terrible, my friend. Wow. Everything about this image is just awful to me. It's silly, I get it. It's probably, supposed to be silly. But the text? Good God, that is awful. It looks like friggin' paint designed that, wow. I just can't stand what's going on here. I really think it's awful. The album itself's pretty good, by the way. Some really cool features on it. And yeah, some of the promo artwork, when I googled this album just to save it in here, you know, some of the promo pictures were pretty good. Like there's one where they're just all kind of like wholesome, having a laugh. They're just laid in this bed, and it you know, they're just having a fun time. They're just chatting. It's just a really like casual, in the moment photo. That would have been a great album artwork. I would have probably put that in B, to be honest. But instead, they gave us this, the egg and the text. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. No. Okay, Boy Genius. This is going to be a hot take, because I've seen a lot of people say this is one of the best artwork of the year. It is Grammy nominated, by the way, now. A Grammy nominated album from Boy Genius. And the thing with this is that I like what they're doing. I like the idea of their hands going up. But like the image itself, the lighting and the way the colours bounce off of each other just is really awkward, and nothing really stands out. Like there's no... The focal point should be the hands, and yet when I look at the picture, I'm kind of having to like squint a little bit, because like it gets like the darkness around the hands and the lighting and the colour, it just all feels a bit off. I think this could have been a great album artwork cover, but I think something about it just feels slightly off. It doesn't work for me. Rae Jepson, gonna go in A. Really like this one. So simple. Like I'm probably going to contradict myself a lot in this video, because there'll be some that are really simple that I go really positive on, and then there'll be others that are really simple that I say aren't very good. So I'm going to try my best to explain why some are good and some aren't, to my perception anyway. By the way, I probably should have said this at the start. I am no expert when it comes to art, by the way. I'm no artist, so my opinion could be completely disregarded from this whole thing, given that I have no expertise when it comes to this kind of thing, and I don't proclaim to be anything. So that's probably something I should have said to start with. But this Rae Jepson image, I think, is really nice. I think the lighting is great. I think the fact that her head is kind of tilted back, it's just so simple, but it just looks glorious, and it just looks like sun's beaming on her, and what she's wearing is great as well. It just has such a great vibe to it that I really like. Nothing too special, but yeah, I think that they killed this one, actually. Might be the best album artwork she's ever done, because her other ones aren't that great, honestly. Like, I don't think Emotion's a particularly great artwork. I don't think Dedicated was either. Yeah, I really love this. I think it's great. However, the S, possibly the best artwork of the year. And I love how unanimous this one is. Every person I've spoken to has just said this artwork is fantastic. And when this album charted, because of the vinyl sales that helped it get pushed into the charts, Chart Data on Twitter tweeted about it and had the artwork in the tweet. And even then, there were loads of people that were like, I don't even know what this is. I've never heard of this, but the art is great. The album cover is great. And you could just see the comments, loads of comments about the artwork, loads of quote tweets about it as well. Like, it is just unanimously agreed that this artwork is sensational. And I can't quite fathom how they made it look this good. It's just so alluring and strange. Like, she's crawling away on some kind of subway train thing. There's sand. Why is there sand? Where's she crawling to? It just brings up so many questions, and you look at it and you just have to go, what is going on here? It is just such an interesting artwork. It looks beautiful as well. Like the colors and the lighting and the focal point being Caroline. It's all so stunning. But what it evokes and the questions it brings up is so interesting too. It's just a great little story within an image. That's why for me it's got to be at least one of the best artworks of the year. You know what it reminds me as well, that Doctor Who episode, you know, where they're on that train and there's weird things going on. It's almost like she's crawling away from that to get away from it. I don't know. It just brings so much out of my imagination. It's really cool. Okay, not a particularly popular album from this year, but D2X, I'm going to put in B. It is one I've seen some people talk about, but it's not been a huge one. Just liked the animation style. When I kind of came across the album, that was one of the first things I noticed, and it made me interested to check it out. The album itself wasn't amazing or anything, but yeah, I just like the animation, really simple. Got a bit of a goofy element to it as well, which I like. Yeah, it's really straightforward. Maybe another hot take here, I don't know, man, but Danny Brown, I mean, even looking at it now, it just feels like there's you can't latch onto anything. And I'm guessing there's a reason for it. You know, the album theme, where Danny Brown is in his life at the moment, it will all tie into that. And perhaps me being harsh on the image is not recognizing that. But, you know, let's not forget, I am recognizing that right now. So I get why it would look this way. But yeah, I think when it's just like a headshot of somebody, you need to do something to grab me, because I just find this really boring, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not really here for it. Just too dark. It doesn't evoke anything in me, to be honest. I can see why people would like it though. Anyway, Dispirited Spirits. I'm going to put this in A2. Really cool image here. That weird sort of strange, like whatever the hell's going on in the background. It looks like something from Halo or something. I don't even know. But then the kind of two people that like are walking by it. It's just a really cool image to me. I'm a big fan of that. Really cool album, by the way, Dispirited Spirits. Definitely an interesting rock album from this year that I've stumbled upon recently. And yeah, the artwork for me is really cool. Voir dire, I'm going to put in C. Didn't really think much of this at first, and I looked into it more, and then I realised that voir dire was like is that even how you say it? A legal courtroom term. And then of course you've got the kind of judge there with this long stretched arm smashing down on the V. I ended up kind of appreciating the album artwork more when I realised what was going on, because initially I was just going to leave it off the tier list. But then actually I thought, pretty cool. Obviously it's just black and white though, so the actual image itself isn't amazing, but I thought it was actually pretty clever play on the idea of what's going on here. Yeah, I like that a lot. A few more A's to come. I'm really big fan of the Geese album. I mean, it's just so weird. Like, why is he laid down like that? Why are his legs in the air? It's just a strange image. And then you've got the really cool like landscape view of like the the sky and the sort of deserty ground. I really like this. I think it's so stupid, but it also captures what kind of band they are. Like, they are a bit weird, they are a bit mad, they are a bit off their rockers sort of thing, with the way that they present their lyrics and things. So it all actually works really well for the album artwork. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. And I'm also a big fan of George Clanton. I'm going to put this in A2. Lots of things going on here, lots of kind of weird colours kind of coming together, but it is really striking and it is really cool to look at. You can kind of get lost in it sometimes if you're just looking at the patterns and the way the colours kind of merge together. It is a bit like, kind of just throwing something and seeing what sticks. So I could get why someone wouldn't think this was great, but I actually think it's really cool to look at. A few that I'm not too keen on next. IDK, going to put this in D. Probably the highest of the D's though. I mean, look, it's not bad, but D is just kind of like, for me. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think for me, what immediately strikes when I'm looking at this is Gene Dawson's album cover from 2020. And that is such a glossy, pristine image of a guy who's also wearing like a helmet. And this one just feels so bland in comparison. It fits the theme of like the Formula One thing that's going on this album. Why IDK is trying that theme, I don't know. It's just such a random thing to throw into a hip hop album, really. But yeah, I don't know. It just looks really like stock imagey. Like if I Google like generic Formula One driver, this would come up. And I'd put it in like a PowerPoint that I'm just like presenting to people about something in a presentation at work, in a boardroom meeting, and I just needed something to kind of match the image. It just looks a bit like that to me. Ben Howard, again, kind of similar reasons why Bombay Bicycle Club is here. But what the hell? Like, what the hell is this? It just looks so ugly. It just looks so silly. And I guess that's also the point, but similarly with Bombay Bicycle Club, like, it just has no rhyme or reason as to why it's there. Like, why did they pick this? Ben Howard doesn't make music that fits this at all. Why? Okay, I've gone crazy with praise for James Ivey this year. It really is one of the best projects albums, EPs, whatever, you know, all things combined of the whole year. But I'm not going to show bias towards it just because I love it. This is D for me as well. I just don't like what's going on here. The collage of images, when you look at each individual image, it's just like nothing really interesting is going on. It doesn't really tie together in any interesting way to me. And then also when you look at the text and like the red sort of like border around it, I guess you could call it a border, I don't even know. It's like a rectangle at the top. That bit just looks like, again, I've said this already, but something you find on PowerPoint. Like something you'd find on PowerPoint and you'd use it as like the theme of your whole PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, I just think for a project that's so spectacular and so like exciting to listen to and so enjoyable and provides so many different vibes across the whole thing, despite the fact that it's only like 7 tracks long, needed something more interesting than this. I do like this James Blake album artwork though. I think it's a really cool image. Kind of looks like something you'd expect from like the medieval days, like perhaps some diplomats are all traveling together through the lands. I don't even know. I'm not even going to try and make up a story here. It'll just sound stupid. I like it. Similarly with Jessie J, I'll put this in B2. I like it. I think it's a very, you know, classy image of her. It just looks so stylish and just so expensive and just so rich. Like, it is just a really good image. It isn't anything special, but I think what it represents is really cool. It does represent the album actually really well too. Like, I think it's a good image. It's one of those where it is literally just a headshot, but the beauty of it takes it higher up than some of the other ones that will be lower down. I like this Joanna Sternberg, I think is her name, album cover. I think similarly with some of the other ones that I'm going to talk about, like the animated style looks really cool. Yeah, not really much to say here. I'm going to put Jordan Ward in B2. Again, a headshot, but I like the way that the hair is just kind of all over the place. And what I did like about this as well is that he released like some outtake pictures as well, and like they're all quite different from one another, despite the fact that it is just like a sort of portrait headshot photo that maybe you'd take in like at school when it's time for picture day or something. But I think it looks good. I think it looks really cool. Like, again, like with the hair flying over the place. I think it's really good. Just adding to that point as well, I like how it looks like he's really still, but yet his hair is moving and flying all over the place. I think it's a really good image. Similarly with this one, I'm going to put this in A. I think it's just really beautiful. Like the color combinations, the makeup, the design, the artistic style of it all. It just looks really like well put together. Like, it is really, really stunning to look at. I do think as well that kind of like red fading into like the orange and yellow sunset sort of vibe is really beautiful to look at with what she's kind of wearing and the makeup and everything. Yeah, I think it's a cool image here. Again, Kelela with that aquatic vibe coming through in 2023. Really looks harrowing, this image. Like, it looks, you can't tell if she's in danger, or you can't tell if she's like safe at the same time. And the kind of black and white sort of grayscale vibe adds a lot to it too. Very cool image. Very cool. Could maybe even put that in A actually, but I think I'll stick with B. Okay, this is another S for me. I think this is one of the best album artworks of the year. I don't think it's better than Caroline, but King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard went crazy with this one. This is excellent. Again, tells the story. I mean, you've got this weird sort of lizard dragging creature at the front, that's the focal point, but then in the background you've got this kind of like dystopian world where like clearly it's got a political angle to it as well, where there's like oil and, you know, the emissions and the smoke are like burning into the world. It just looks like a world that we've kind of created through to our lack of I guess care and our lack of protection of the environment. It just looks like something in the future. Maybe this is some kind of like mutated animal that's just come from all of this mess. I really like it as well. And not only that, but just the detail and the artwork style, like the lizardy dragon creature itself looks so cool. Like the scales, the details, it's so fantastic. Love this. Yeah, definitely up there in the top 2 of the year for sure for me. I'm gonna put Uzi in C. Like, we've seen this before, haven't we, with like, you know, artists taking the American flag and maybe doing something different with it. Outkast probably being one of the best examples of that. I think that's a really cool album artwork. And then of course Uzi here, the pink tape, of course, turning the American flag into the pink. It matches well. I want to not like this, but then I look at it and I think it kind of just looks cool, doesn't it? So yeah, it goes in C for me. Lil Yachty in C. Kind of want to know why Lil Yachty did this, really, because it really doesn't make any sense to have like an AI themed artwork for your album. The only thing I would say this is probably a loose connection is the fact that he completely shifted styles and he made an album that subverted expectations. So he wanted an album artwork to subvert expectations. I don't really know, but I've got to say, when you look at it and look at all the faces and look at what's going on, it is really creepy. So yeah, I like it. I just think the fact that it is AI generated though makes me want to play it down a little bit, because I don't quite understand why it's like that. McKinley Dixon, another one I'm going to go and see. It's okay. I think I want to like this more than I do. I like the kind of like reddish background. But yeah, I think the design, the illustration of the guy could be a little better. Yeah, I don't know. One that I want to like more than I do, I think. Okay, Melanie Martinez, right, is next. And look, there was a lot of talk about this one being, you know, a rip-off of Bjork and how it's basically Fosora and Melanie doing a worse version of that. And I'm not going to stand here and say that I think it rips off Bjork. I think it is inspired by Bjork, if anything else. I don't think she ripped her off. I think it's just very clearly inspired by that kind of vibe. And I've got to say, I think there's a lot of cool things about this artwork, despite the fact that I'm not a fan of Melanie Martinez at all. Yeah, the execution might be a little off. It's just a little off, which pulls it down. Because I think the effort, the vision, the commitment to this weird creature thing that she's clearly trying to be, and the background of all like the trees and the leafiness, I think it all is quite cool. But I just think the execution is slightly off. I don't think it's pulled off the best it could have been. Like, again, when you look at someone like Bjork, she would have nailed this. Even someone like FKA Twigs, I think, would have killed this, to be honest with you. I just think Melanie Martinez is slightly off the mark. And also the Portals text is pretty bad. Like, I think that bit should have been better. So for me, overall, I think it's decent. I think it's in the C. But I think what this album artwork could have been S, honestly. I think it could have been fantastic if it was just tidied up and done better. Mike Dean, I just don't like this image. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know why. It just looks a bit odd, the guy. I don't know if that is anyone like in relation to the album itself. I just thought I didn't like the album at all when I listened to it. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. This one here, Monday Night and Three-Way Slim. This was one of the earliest album releases of the year, and it's a really cool hip-hop album, actually. But there was something about looking at this image that I always just found really cool. You know, the sharks, the shark heads, and the poker playing. Yeah, I like this one a lot. I just want to like looking a little bit more. Yeah, it's just like really odd. Again, don't know why it looks the way it does, but I think it's a clever little thing here. I'm going to put Nico Polo in B. Really lovely image. Strikes up the feelings the exact feelings actually you get from listening to the album. Just really sort of springtime, flowery, pretty, carefree, lovely, just all those kinds of feelings when you look at this image and then you listen to the album and you just get the exact same feeling from that. Man, I've got a few Fs today. I didn't think there were going to be this many, but the more I'm getting through this, the more I'm realising. Look, No Name, I get why you'd pick this, because the point is to look garish, and the point is to look a bit ugly, and the point is to probably make people go, ugh. So I'm sure they set out to do exactly what they achieved, but it just is ugly to look at. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. When you look at the previous No Name albums, they're really good album artwork. This one, to me, I'm just not here for it, man. Okay, Good Night, The Fox and the Bird. I'm going to put this in B2. Really lovely image here. Lovely stuff. Just a really nice animated design here. Really cool as well how the tracks in the album all link to something that happens in the image. I like that a lot, to be honest with you. I think that's really clever. So the album title is The Fox and the Bird, and there's a track called The Fox and the Bird in the album. There's the fox and the bird in the picture. There's a track called The Snake. There's a snake in the picture. It's like each thing kind of makes you want to look at the artwork. Each track, makes you want to look at the artwork and then kind of go, oh, that's what that's referring to. That's what that one's referring to. Quite a little clever thing. Really lovely image as well, which makes it really good to me. So yeah. Okay, this one's going in C. It is just a picture of a dog, but I think I quite like the angle. I like the background as well, the blue and the white. It's nothing special here, but what I do like about Overmono with this era of their music is that all of the artwork is just this dog, but in a different picture. Like they've really committed to having the singles, reflect this dog for some strange reason. They dropped a single last week, which was actually really good, or maybe the week before. Maybe even longer. I can't remember exactly when it came out. And again, this dog is on it. I think it's an outtake from the album. It's a really good track though. And yeah, the dog is on the picture as well. So I think this era, they just wanted to have this dog somewhere, in some place linked to everything that they were putting out. Quite like the commitment there. Paranormal C for me, I think this is a really lovely image and really bright to look at, but I think there probably needed a few more details to make me latch onto something, because when I look at it, it is just very white and bright. So yeah, I think this could have been amazing, but not quite there. Another S. This is one of the best album artworks of the year for me. Has to be in the top 3. Peggy and Danny Brown. Just fantastic, isn't it? This homage to 70s kind of cop shows, 70s blaxploitation movies is just impeccably done. It is really nailed so well. It looks like a GTA loading screen. They've done this so well. Whoever designed this has done an insane job here, because homages sometimes can look a bit tacky. They can look a bit like, oh, you're just trying to copy that. This is the total opposite. Really bloody good. It has to be S. One of the few S's of the year for me, for sure. Yeah, love it. Pink Panther S, kind of just laid on a sofa, really, I suppose, with a really nice dress and a white dove above her. I like looking at the image. Probably helps that Pink Pantheress is very pretty herself, so it, it does make for a good image. But yeah, I like it for some reason. It'll go in B. Okay, I can't say this band name. I'm going to call them Psychedelic Crumpets. If you Google Psychedelic Crumpets, the rest of the band name will pop up. I've already checked it. I can't say the whole thing. I can't do it. But anyway, this image of an old lady that looks like the actress who plays the Queen in The Crown, who was Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter. I forgot her actress name. But basically her with a cigar at some kind of event. I mean, it's just one of the hardest pictures of all time. I mean, this goes hard. She looks cool as hell. It's great. Okay, let's blitz through these last few now. We'll go with Rae in C. We've got to put this one in C. I think it's decent. It's cool. She's just stood on like a pile of electronics. It looks like someone's gone into PC world and trashed everything. And you've got the TVs, you've got the stereo systems all piled up, and she's just on top of it all, trying to do some kind of TikTok challenge where you have to balance on the electronic items or something. It looks kind of cool. I don't really get why it's like this, but sure, I'll go C. I'll go B for Sampha. Yeah, I like this one. I know some people might just think it's an image of people, but I actually really like the angle. I like the stance that they're stood in, the poses, what they're wearing too, the colours, and then the sky in the background. I just think it's a really cool shot of like two people who are looking down. Like, I think these kinds of things can look a bit boring or standard, you know, like those trendy things you used to do maybe if you're like, you know, you were a teenager during the 2010s and you'd have all your friends in a circle and you look down and it make for a silly photo. Like, those kinds of things are a bit standard and generic, whereas this one just has a bit more of a style to it, which I like. Nothing special, but I'm a big fan of it. I can't really decide if I like the Shame album cover. I'm just going to put it in D. I can't really explain what this is or what it gives off such an odd energy. It might be good, but it also might not be. So I'm just going to stick at D for this one. Skrillex. I'm going to go A for this one. I really love this album cover. I love the colours. Oh no, that's gone way too high. Let's stick it in A. Love the colours. Love the elusive energy to it. It's really mysterious. It's really odd. It gives off like a Studio Ghibli vibe hugely to me as well. Like, really feels like its own short story within the Studio Ghibli universe. Maybe like a 10-minute quick short story, short film that has some kind of story going on within that. I don't know. It brings a lot out of my imagination. I think it's really cool to look at. Love this Sophia Cortez album too. Really love it. I think, again, it looks simple to begin with, but that colour, like the colour gap between like the blue and the red, and then the red shining on her face, it just looks so beautiful. It's similar to the Kali Uchis album, where looking at it, it's just so pretty that I can't not go any higher than it is. I think it's really, really lovely. Anyway, Sufjan Stevens, gonna go C. I think there isn't really much to latch onto here when you look at it. Like, there's so many weird chopped and bits and bobs going on that it just kind of merges together. I like the idea of it, which is why it would stay in C for me. But yeah, for an album I love, I would have preferred a bit more of a better cover. And the text as well is kind of not very standout-ish, is it? It just kind of merges in with it all. Everything just kind of merges together. It's got a bit of a Sgt. Pepper's vibe to it, but I don't think it executes it particularly that well. Whether or not it's inspired by Sgt. Pepper's, I don't know. But I could see it being inspired by that. Tyler, the Creator, The Estate Sale. I'm going to go B for this too. I think it's really good. I like the sort of... the theme, I think, fits what he's going for here. I think it's a nice... disparity between this and obviously the Call Me If You Get Lost original album artwork, which was obviously really inspired by ODB, but this one looks totally different. I like how different they are, and yeah, I think the animation style really reminds me of Hello Neighbor. I don't play that game, by the way, but I've played it before with my nephew, and yeah, just the characterization of Tyler in this animated state just looks like a character that would be in that game. Really weird to me. It doesn't drag it down or anything, but it just reminds me of that. Vale Smith, Yo. Yeah, sure, it's just like a lens flash or whatever, but I think it's really cool to look at. I think the ball of energy, the orb in the middle, and then trying to make out things in the background is quite fun if you stare at this for a long period of time. I think it really looks really cool. I like pictures like this. Really kind of like dusk vibes, like summertime dusk vibes, like maybe like this picture was taken in like towards the end of summer, where things are getting darker a little earlier, and you just take this picture and it just makes for a really cool image. Also sticking with Yule in C as well. I really find this one so strange to look at that it just entrances me in some strange way. Like, Yule is such an odd looking robotic figure on this album cover that it just creates such a weird vibe. Yeah, I like it. Nothing amazing, that's why it's not going to go higher than C, but I think it's decent. And similarly with Young Fathers here, I think this is also pretty good too. Mostly C's on this tier list, which isn't too surprising, I wouldn't say, for a lot of people really. But yeah, kind of reminds me of like the game Guacamelee, like the kind of like shadowy images of somebody and then the background is like really bright. Kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if anyone's ever played that. In the comments, let me know. That's a really good game though. Anyway, C, it's decent. I like the yellow, the orangey yellow, but it doesn't pull enough out of me to drag it any higher. I would probably keep it there. I think that's fair to say. And that's it. These are all the albums that I have included in this tier list. And now the tier list is complete. They're ranked. We're done. Let me know your thoughts here. If you agree with my picks, if you disagree, please put in the comments what you think. Make your own as well, as I've already said. Click the link in the description. You can create your own and decide whether, you know, I've got it completely wrong or if you agree with me on some of them, and then send it my way. Just share it around too. It'd be great to see this one gain some momentum. Obviously, you don't even have to listen to the album to be able to get involved in this one as well. So that makes it pretty easy for you as a consumer, as a creator of the tier list. But yeah, hopefully you've liked this video, something different as well. I've not done one of these before, so it's another addition to the year-end list content. This is the first year-end lists type video of the year. We're getting them early, we're getting them in, and that is it from me. Please tell me your thoughts. Subscribe as well. Check out my Patreon. You can join there, join in some of the bracket tournaments that we're going to be doing soon, and have a good day. Goodbye.